As president, I like to start every day off with hearing a joke or telling a joke. I like to start cabinet meetings that way. I just find it loosens people up, makes them more receptive to whatever has to be done, even if it's difficult. I also find that the best way of responding to criticism is with gentle humor. For example, in 1984, I was running for re-election, and people were not impressed with my first debate appearance. Folks thought I was getting old, seemed disoriented, seemed like I didn't know what was going on, did not seem particularly lucid, almost as if the Alzheimer's that eventually did get me had already set in. So my advisors and I knew what was coming in the next debate. People would ask me questions. Am I up for it? And at the time, I was working with a close advisor who had been a consultant to Richard Nixon and others, a fellow by the name of Roger Ailes. And he pulled me aside during our debate prep and said, when somebody hits you on the age and being out of it, here's what you say. I refuse to make the youth and inexperience of my opponent an issue in this campaign. And just smile and stop. And sure enough, that's what I did. Everybody laughed. Everybody chuckled. My poor hapless opponent, Walter Mondale, just laughed and laughed. And that was the end of the issue. And I sailed on to an easy re-election. My name is Ronald Reagan. Reagan was the master at using self-effacing humor. He was always making fun of himself, how old he was. He would reference Abraham Lincoln, and hearing Lincoln speak at the convention, he would always talk about things that gently mocked himself, made fun of himself, and that made it harder for other people to make fun of him and to paint him as mean or vicious or cruel. Humor is a tremendous weapon as a speaker. In this particular case, it was very clever humor because you have to know the context. Walter Mondale had been a senator, a mayor, a vice president. He had been around forever. So the idea of making fun of Walter Mondale for being too youthful and inexperienced was hilarious. So it was sort of a mild dig at himself in a clever way, and that's what diffused the issue. You could make the case that reporters should have continued to dig on that issue, but they didn't. The humor diffused the issue. So remember, sometimes the best attack, sometimes the best counterattack is not a strong swing, it's not a stronger punch, it's a gentle jab of humor.